and welcome to Tech Latest from Nikkei Asia, where we bring you fresh updates from the Asian tech sector. I'm your host, Shotaro Tani, and in this week's episode, we dive into how Japanese companies are increasingly becoming active in artificial intelligence with a flurry of recent deals in the sector. With me to discuss the topic is Tsubasa Suruga, who just came back from his posting in Singapore and has rejoined the Tokyo team as our new Japan tech reporter. Tsubasa, welcome to the show.
Thank you. It's nice to be back.
So let's just start off by summarizing the deals that happened, well, basically within the space of maybe five or 6 days in Japan. So the first deal in the AI sector that was announced was a partnership or a MOU signing between Hitachi and OpenAI. Can you just quickly explain what this deal is?
Yeah, sure. So it's been a very eventful week for Japan's AI scene. So as you mentioned, first Hitachi signed an agreement with OpenAI, basically to bring generative AI into industrial software and infrastructure. So Hitachi, it's a well-known, huge Japanese conglomerate. So basically, they're trying to apply the American cutting-edge technology on the ground in factories and for industrial usage.
And the next deal that was signed was between Fujitsu and Nvidia. And Jason Huang was actually the CEO of Nvidia was actually in Japan, in Tokyo for this deal. You covered the press conference. What's this about?
Yeah, that's right. So Fujitsu and Nvidia, they've been working for some time now. In August, actually, they announced that Nvidia is basically joining this supercomputer project Fujitsu is part of. And it basically builds on that. They are planning to sort of be able to connect Fujitsu's CPU chips with Nvidia's GPU and develop this energy efficient AI chip by 2030.
And then the next one, this one's on the 7th of October. NTT, Japan's tech company, telecommunications company, they signed a deal with US chipmaker Broadcom. What's this about?
Yeah, so this one, it's basically to produce this key optical device for what NTT calls its ION network. It's this next generation, ultra-fast, low-power data system that uses light instead of electricity to transmit information and data. And they're basically trying to develop this new switch that will be used in servers.
Gotcha. And last but not least, a day after that, SoftBank announced that it was acquiring the robotics business of Swiss headquartered ABB. And this is to do with AI, I understand?
Yeah, that's right. So this one was probably the largest deal. So they announced that they're acquiring ABB's robotics business for about $5.4 billion. And it's seen as a big step in SoftBank founder Masayoshi Son's push into what he calls physical AI.
What is a physical AI? Just explain to me, please.
So it's a bit different from the digital AI we've seen in recent years. So like text, image, video generation, we've seen a lot of people using that even for personal use. But physical AI, it's basically applying AI into machines so that they can think and act on their own. So one of the promising usage would be in factories. So robotic arms, typically they would be assigned to do certain tasks repeatedly. But what physical AI aims to do is to get those machines to think or move on its own more quickly or more articulately.
Gotcha. So all these deals happened within the space of a week or so. You had Sam Altman from OpenAI and also Jason Huang from Nvidia coming to Japan as well. Why do you think it's kind of happening all at the same time?
Yeah, I think it's really a mix of these companies' business strategy and timing, but also in part the Japanese government's policy and a bit of geopolitics we've seen in recent times. So NTT's project, the ION project, for example, it had already been in the works since 2019, but we are finally seeing the commercialization of the technology taking off. So the new optical device, Broadcom announced to help mass produce from next year. It basically rides on the global data center boom. Both companies see NTT's technology as a crucial technology to making servers faster and more energy efficient as AI workloads continue to soar. And now Fujitsu's partnership with Nvidia builds on Japan's long-running supercomputing efforts. It traces back to Fugaku. It's a supercomputer developed with the National Research Institute, Riken. And the system already debuted in 2020. But in August, Riken, Fujitsu, and Nvidia announced the plans to develop the next generation model focused on more efficient AI computing. And regarding Nvidia's recent AI partnership with Fujitsu, Fujitsu executives said the American company valued the Japanese company's expertise in energy efficient technologies they kind of built through the Fugaku project. And at the same time, global players like OpenAI and Nvidia, they see Japan as a very strategic market and one with deep industrial know-how. Also, Japan has many large enterprise base and strong government backing for AI. And with the growing tech rivalry between the US and China, Japan is trying to position itself as an AI hub by easing regulations and investing heavily in infrastructures. But relatively speaking, Japan's regulatory environment is still more flexible than, let's say, some places like in the EU. And of course, it would be very hard for American companies to partner with Chinese companies, vice versa, in this environment. So Japan has become quite an attractive place for global tech firms to build partnerships and also help shape local AI policy before any stricter rules take effect.
It was kind of interesting seeing some outbound come to Japan, just as the Sora 2, the image creating platform that they came up with, that OpenAI came up with, was kind of creating a stir in Japan by allowing people to recreate anime scenes. But that's probably for another podcast episode. But just coming back to all the deals, which do you think is the most significant out of these?
They all very interesting, and of course they each of them have a different timeline for what they're trying to do. But if I had to pick one, I'd say SoftBank's announcement to acquire ABB Robotics stood out. It's Son-san's biggest statement yet, that the next frontier isn't just going to be digital AI, as we said. He said in the statement that it's going to be all about physical AI, so machines that can think and act on their own. And ABB is one of the world's top industrial robot makers, and they're known for data-driven factory systems. So by bringing that under SoftBank, the Japanese group is trying to position itself to lead a new wave of AI-powered manufacturing. So Son-san, he wants to link robotics with SoftBank's other investments. They've been working on quite actively this year. So in semiconductors, data centers, and power. And these are all part of what he calls the pillars of the artificial superintelligence era.
Is Son-san thinking in terms of like a Terminator future where we have super intelligence robots roaming the streets and not killing people, but
no, but definitely I think what he's trying to do is trying to get more concrete examples, actual machines working on the ground. And it's not just about building these data centers so people can generate these from videos or images. He is trying to take this new technology and apply it to as many parts of and different industries as possible.
Where do you think Japan stands in the whole global AI ecosystem? And the reason I say that is because you obviously have DeepSeek in China, the OpenAI and Gemini, Google. US companies and Chinese companies are obviously really renowned for their AI software or ecosystem. But Japan obviously hasn't been able to come up with its own AI system yet, but it is kind of building a niche for itself in these kind of important areas. So where do you think Japan stands right now, and where do you think Japan can and should position itself in this AI space going forward?
Of course. So I see Japan probably won't compete head to head with the US or China in building massive foundation models, but I think it can certainly capitalize on demand for applied and industrial usage, particularly in areas like robotics, manufacturing, and semiconductors. So Japan's strengths lies in precision engineering, factory automation, and hardwares. So if we think of the example of the physical AI, China leads in sheer robot numbers, but Japan also has more room to collaborate with US companies and maybe even other Western companies. So what's new now is that AI is being built directly into machines, making them smarter, more autonomous, and more energy efficient. And Japanese firms are also using these partnerships to modernize their infrastructure from data centers to telco networks. But this wave of partnerships also highlights the limit of Japan's AI ecosystem, in my view. There aren't many young, fast-moving, high-growth companies like OpenAI driving innovation here. Instead, as we've seen, it's the big players like Hitachi, Fujitsu, and NTT leading the charge. And their size can sometimes make it harder to move fast or take bold risks. But now that we're starting to see these groundwork, these partnerships with some of the cutting edge companies, I think the real test is whether these Japanese companies, as well as all these AI companies, can turn their collaborations into real products and scale them enough to stay competitive. So personally, I'm eager to see how Gen AI and also these massive data center investments will actually be applied and used on the ground to solve real business problems, and not just for text generation or searches that we're more familiar with.
That's it for this week's episode. You can read all the articles that we mentioned in this episode, as well as the latest Asian tech news on our website, asia.nikkei.com. You can also subscribe to our weekly Tech Asia newsletter, which will be delivered to your inbox every Thursday. Thank you for tuning in, and see you in our next episode.